is 7:36 right now. Joining us on the phone is Josh Lucas. Good morning, Josh. How are you today?
Good morning, Big J, and beautiful Billings, Montana. How's everybody there?
We are all fantastic here. Yeah, speaking of Billings, Montana, Kate Bosworth, who's in Big Sur with you, just got married here in Montana recently.
She did. You know, the director of this movie, Michael Polish, they have, I guess, a pretty big, beautiful property that they've had in their family out there for many, many generations. I haven't seen it yet. I can't wait to go. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but I think they like to keep it a little quiet. It's one of those, you know, like all the people in Montana, like we're off the beaten path sort of properties. But I guess it's quite incredible, like all of Montana is. And so I was actually speaking to Kate and Michael the other day, her husband, who she married, and they were saying they were basically waiting to get back there in the next few days and stay there for the winter. And buckle down.
It's beautiful up here in the winter. You'll definitely have to come and check it out sometime. Speaking of Kate Bosworth and you guys being talking and stuff, the movie Big Sur. Tell us a little bit about your character Neil and about the whole film here.
Well, Big Sur is the story of when Jack Kerouac, you know, the great writer of On the Road and, you know, many, many, many books, was sort of at the point where the fame and the alcohol and all of the different things that On the Road had given him had begun to take a real toll on his life. You know, he was basically being stalked by fans and, you know, couldn't walk out the door. And I think he felt not like a fraud, but I think he felt like life was just totally overwhelming. So Lawrence Ferlinghetti, the writer, the poet, had a cabin up a cliff, a hike up a cliff in the middle of absolutely nowhere, Big Sur, and said, "Hey man, come get sober, get clean out here, and you'll the nature will infect your soul just like the way it does in Montana, and you'll get happy basically." And the story is about how, yes, he does fall madly in love with the nature and the beauty of Big Sur, but the reality is that all the demons are just too big and too strong to get control of. And so he kind of runs back to San Francisco, where Neil Cassidy, the character who I play, lives, and Cassidy has been in prison for a couple of years on a marijuana charge, and he's come out and is trying to live, you know, sober and clean as well. He's home with his kids and his wife, but he's got this mistress who lives in San Francisco who he basically gives to Jack Kerouac, and it's this kind of interesting love triangle between the three of them, and actually the four of them, being Cassidy's wife as well. So they're all in this cabin together, they're all drinking, and they're all basically talking about the old days. And I tell you, it's a beautiful, interesting film, interesting book.
Yeah, that's from all the reviews and the awards and the critical acclaim. I mean, it sounds like a fantastic film for sure. So definitely look for Big Sur, whether you're a Jack Kerouac fan or just a fan of a good story and a great film. What else? You've been involved in a lot of great projects throughout your career. Big Sur, you know, being I'm sure one of them that'll be added to the list. What's coming up after this? What else are you working on? What's next?
I've just done a kind of a slew of movies. You know, it's interesting. Careers are you know, they're like tides, I like to say, where sometimes it's an in tide and sometimes it's an out tide, and you just kind of got to ride it. You know, you just kind of got to say this is one where, you know, it's not necessarily going as well as I'd like, and then, you know, suddenly, like what just happened to me, it was like one movie after another, and they were, you know, movies I was really loving making, whether it was, you know, Big Sur. I did this very interesting movie called Dear Eleanor, which is about two teenage girls who hijack basically. They steal their father's car and take it across country in the early 1960s, and it's me and Luke Wilson and Jessica Alba, and it was just an absolutely wonderful film to make. And another movie I did is kind of tiny, low budget, similar to this one, where I basically played a homeless guy, and it's oddly enough a bit of a comedy. You watch someone descend into homelessness, hopefully in a both very humorous and I wouldn't say educational way, but it's sort of a cautionary tale, but I think done hopefully very entertaining.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's been a ride, you know. It's been a good ride the last couple of years.
Definitely. Well, a lot of good stuff coming up. We'll look for Big Sur next, though. Sounds like a fantastic project, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Montana soon as well. Josh Lucas, thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Josh.
The Big J Show. Weekday mornings from 6 till 10 on Billings' #1 hit music station, Hot 101.9.